it's my hypothesis, and I think it'd be yours as well, is like if they applied the principles of emergent strategy, which is very much like, so whatever you're envisioning, it first comes to you and you apply it to yourself and you practice it for yourself, and that changes the world. Say their vision they noticed was not compatible, like not realistic. It's like everyone in the world should be hyper productive all the time. We're seeing what happens when we try and work through that. If we think that's the most just and liberated world, our bodies go, LOL.
Hi, we're Jamie and Joan, two humans and bodies who take care of bodies for a living.
We created this podcast as practical medicine for bodies living through this disembodied time.
We want to invite you to come sit with us and experience the beautiful, loving, complex person that is your body. Well,
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello, Joan. Welcome to Experiential Anatomy.
Thank you so much for welcoming me.
What if
so
every
welcomed.
episode my voice sounded like...
Okay, but like what if we really committed to doing like different voices for an episode?
Here's something that's important to know about me. I have a specific aversion to accents being requested on demand. Will I occasionally do a spontaneous accent? Yes, and I enjoy it. But you know that very specific human phenomenon where someone's like, do a whatever accent, immediately all of the desire to respond, affirmatively to that request like drains from my body, and I don't ever do anything I don't want to do. So, I don't know. I mean, we can leave it open for like, you can do whatever you want. First of all, let's be clear. I would love to hear you do an entire accent episode.
I don't know. I think it would drop very quickly. And I think I already told the anecdote about the time when I was being Nelson Mandela and it was like an Italian accent.
I will never forget it. I will never forget it as long as I live.
It's one of my favorite memories because everyone was like, what? And I'm like, I'm hilarious. So yeah, it wouldn't work. Sometimes I listen to my voice and I'm like, it's too much vocal fry. So then I'm like, I should take voice lessons. Then I'll be like, hello, I'm on public radio.
No, I don't like that.
I never have.
I don't like you like that. Okay. Get away from me.
Isn't it better when there's no fry in your voice?
Raw, authentic, real Joan. Vocal fry at all.
It will fry.
Yeah, I get a little fried every now and then as well. It's cool. It's just normal. It's just what happens. Yeah. When you got a body.
I work. When you got a body, that includes vocal cords.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Period. Anyways, Jamie, how did you experience your anatomy this week?
We are starting out on the chaos train. Let's see if we can keep it up.
I'm just embracing it. I don't know. This is what I got.
I am very into it. That is a great segue actually into how I am experiencing my anatomy this week, because kind of like this, like just a lot of really high energy, positive energy. Here is the good news, bad news of that, depending on one's relationship to the truth. I removed most, not all, let's not get crazy, but most food substances that break down as sugar in my body about 11 days ago.
Oh. And
apparently this is what's waiting on the other side of that decision, and now I can't unknow that. So that's the good news, bad news. It started out as just amongst some friends, and I were just like, I think we can like feel better. Like, let's do it together. That always feels good. And then Ty, for his own reasons, decided to like try out like full keto. So he's like keeping to a thing even more than I am right now. My currently, chosen ethics are slightly different. And then also running simultaneous to that too, it was we just finished our first week of having the kids back in our house now that they are back in school and it is soccer season again. And so going from the summer schedule to like pickups, drop-offs, practices, etc. And then another change that we've made is we're doing home lunches here. So they're making their lunches instead of eating at school. So we've been sharing with the boys that like your mood, your personality, your emotions, your patience for interacting with other people, most especially your own brother, is really, really affected by the food you're eating. There is no such thing morally as good or bad food. And simultaneous to that, like metabolic health versus dysfunction, like is just unavoidably true. And so just really wanting to help them like become more curious about like how they ended up getting the experience that they're having. And one of the easiest things to like talk to them about that matters to us is like, food. And then we're also doing it too. And so everyone in our household has had a significant amount of protein for the last week. And again, maybe this is like correlation, causation, who knows? It was like the most functional, like the week that you would think or could think could be like super stressful because the intensity of the shift from summer to all of this, like for us and for them, like especially our oldest, he just started middle school. So that shift from elementary school to middle school, there's so much difference going on. And everyone's resilience and adaptability was just like 10 out of 10 this week. Cool. So I feel incredible in my body. Like we've been waking up between 5 and 5:15 every morning, doing some sort of like movement first thing, like taking the dog on a run, or I went to hot yoga this morning, committing to some form of movement, sometimes in the afternoon, like long runs. Like I've been really focused. The kids were really focused. They had loads of energy. Like our oldest, he had back-to-back soccer practices, came home, Ty was out, so I fed them dinner, and then he still wanted to play 1v1 soccer in the front yard with his little brother. And it was like, okay, let's do that for 30 minutes before we wind down for bed. And so there's that both and of I feel really great in my body, and I think a simple way to put it is that I feel really great in my soul, that both the endeavor, the dual endeavors of like, here's how to help yourself understand yourself in the experience you're having, like that's working and that's landing. And from their understanding of that, it feels like they're making, it doesn't just feel like, it's observable. They're making really self-responsible choices. And that's super exciting to see in like 9 and 11-year-old small people, that like they're mathing the math and then deciding that the thing that genuinely, authentically feels the most good for them is to do the thing that has the best results for their physiology.
Yeah.
So cool. I was sharing with a client earlier today, as I'm parenting them, I'm having all these memories of my own lived experience and just how I would go from sitting at school all day, eating the shitty school food, and I'd go home and I'd get a snack, and it was the 90s, and so we had like all these processed snacks, and I would turn on the TV and I would sit in front of the TV and I would eat my snacks, and so much of my time was just like sitting and eating shitty food, and yes, that absolutely affected my health and my overall well-being for so many years. And it instilled in me these like habitual dispositions, set points, ways of being. It took a lot for me to learn how to love nourishing my body and love moving my body. Those were enormous learning curves for me in my life in adulthood. And it is super exciting to see these small people like loving it for like genuinely just loving it for themselves, just like loving the protein. So yeah, I feel good and clear and strong and encouraged and celebratory. And I am also just feeling really excited about this conversation today and learning from you and learning all about a new thing. So that's how I have been experiencing my anatomy.
I love it. And okay, I don't want to I guess, well, by the time this comes out, the conversation we temporally had yesterday that will have come out a few months before. I love hearing your like approach to talking about food with your kids. Maybe it's easier for me to love it because it resonates with mine versus I could learn to love it even if there was difference, of course. But like, especially like how you can still tell your kids what you know and what is generally known about food without having to add the morality. The morality
there doesn't need to be any
optional.
Emotional charge to it at all. It's just simple, like neutral consequences, cause and effect. I just want you to have the data. Yeah.
And how that, in my hypothesis, would make that actually easier for a person than to make the choices that would end up nourishing, because you don't get in like a shame spiral that you have to have the quicker hit of the thing,
Yes.
you know, like
nailed it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
just,
just,
oh, look, this gave me this consequence. Oh, look, this gave me this consequence.
That's right. Yeah. Cause you're hitting on it perfectly, which is like that keeps you in a regulated, open, curious state, which allows you to be able to take in and assimilate most successfully the data that you're actually getting in your brain and body, and then make the most desired, most sovereign, most informed decision about the experience you uniquely want to have. Because also nobody gets to tell you the experience you should be having. Like I don't get to tell you the experience you should be having is to feel energized. You actually get to choose that too. You get to choose how you feel. And so if you are making it clear to me that there's a way in which you would most want to feel, I'm going to give you the information about how to get there. And so far, when I've asked and when they've just offered it up, they, like most people, really want to feel good, and they want to feel fast, and they want to feel strong, and they want to feel smart. And so I'm like, here's what I've learned from being in a body. Totally up to you. Do your own thing. You're lovable, worthy, good, no matter what. So is everyone else. So whatever choices other people are making in front of you, like hands off, doesn't matter. Let them do it.
Just imagine a world.
I do every day. Every day.
And kind of what we're talking about today is like, hey, and we are inviting the world to shift towards what our imagination is as we embody that. That's extremely emergent strategy. So it's fun that
love it.
That's coming up.
Perfect. Well, tell me about you. How have you been experiencing your anatomy this week?
Lots of ways. And one thing I noted, like as it was happening, I'm like, I think this is what I'd want to like talk about next time, because it is thankfully becoming a more familiar experience of my anatomy, but it had been a while, which is twice this week I got to give like a talk in person to folks in healthcare who are more of my peers. More of my recent talks have either been online, which can still be fun in a different way, but it is different.
Yeah.
And then also talks to learners who like special place in my heart, but the toughest crowds.
Sure.
The screens are up. I'm like trying to crack a smile on two of them. And that means
They're taking
nailed
it so seriously. Yeah.
And I think it's like, anyway, they're very checked out. And if anyone's listening, not all of you, but like it's like really
quick question. How certain are you that they're all even like screens are open so because they're taking notes versus screens are open because they're like doing something different and not paying attention to it? Like, what's your read in those rooms generally?
It's a good question, especially when I'm the one talking. I'm actually not trying to clock that too much because but I know it's not all taking notes.
Yeah.
You can tell. There's a glaze in the eye.
Yeah.
There's a typing at times where there's no need for them to take a note or whatever, you know what I mean? So like there's definitely that. And then there's some who are listening and writing, and I'm sure some of them are taking notes, but some of them are answering their emails or whatever. For sure. And so those were some of my more recent experiences, except this week. So I had like, I gave my like creating space talk, which is my favorite talk, to a group of people who work in primary care in like a nearby town. And that one in particular, I killed it is what I will say. And the way I want to name that is like, there was so much laughter. And that's my favorite.
Yes.
And part of it is just the alchemy, the chemistry, they were ready for it. And I don't know, like all the magic that makes that happen. But the amount of times I would like say a thing and then there would be like different factions who would laugh harder at different things. And I was like, this is one of my favorite experiences.
You're reading your room really well.
I'm reading the room.
You intuited ahead of time what would work, and it's working. And this is what I imagine like a stand-up comic feels when they're nailing it.
I get it.
Yeah.
And I get why you then like are willing to have cold dead rooms just to chase like a kind of a high.
Yeah.
It's a magical high, and it feels like it doesn't feel like purely dopamine in some way that's very, like scroll a phone or, it's got those qualities, but there's something so connective about it. And so that's like, that was the main way I experienced my anatomy recently, that just like fills you up and then you just like ride the high all the way home.
Oh my gosh.
Love it.
That, it's interesting hearing you describe this and trying to track in my somatic memory to see if have I had anything like that? Do I have anything like that living in me that have I experienced anything like that ever? And I know we've talked about this before. I've been more of a singer than a speaker. And so there's something adjacent to that. But this does happen sometimes where you like really hit a good note and everyone cheers, but not really. The laughter thing is specific.
Yeah.
That hopefully no one's laughing at you while you're singing.
It is.
In most circumstances.
That would be tough.
I really hope that someday I get to learn and know what that feeling is like, because I don't know if I've ever really had that in a large scale. I think like in podcast recordings where like I've said something and like the one or two people have laughed, but what you're describing about like assembling a talk and then like doing it, staying with it, practicing a thing, that's such an impressive skill.
Yeah.
But then the even more impressive skill, that is what I hear you describing, is doing that while, because you've nailed that so much, you're flowing in the moment and you're thinking the joke and then you're saying the joke and then you're landing the joke and then you're playing with the energy that you get from landing the joke. And I want to see you do this someday. I feel like fun. I want to see the master at work.
This time in particular that I'm describing, I was like, I think I want to start recording my talks. Like probably, I'm not going to be like hire a videographer, do it fancy, but even just the audio on my phone, I actually think it would, because I was like, I want to relive it. You can't ever fully relive it, but even just to hear like, honestly, even just for good data, like which were the beats that really got a good laugh? Like one beat that got a laugh that you will appreciate is near the end. So I talked all about, creating space and working under your capacity. And that means you're underworking and you're saying no or whatever. And then someone way at the back was like, okay, but like, what about when the patients are like, you have to do everything I want, or I'm going to report you to the college. And she was actually quite dynamic in how she said it, but she said like, what are you doing? Like the patients are going to report you to the college. And like, one of the things I said was like, you know what really helps when you get a college complaint? If you are rested. And I kind of said it just like that.
So good.
And everyone laughed.
Yeah.
And so you see how that's like my joke.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do a setup punchline per se.
Yeah.
But often the times are there, it's actually a catharsis.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, that's so true.
Yes. Well,
and why isn't that obvious?
You're actually answering the question. How do I want to say this? Like, you are sidestepping answering that question by masterfully answering a deeper question that person actually doesn't even know is the question they really want to be asking.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And then you're making it land in the way that, humor can communicate truth so much more successfully than like a straightforward manner of delivery, or it feels similar to the way that fiction can tell true stories.
Yes.
way more successfully in a way that will allow to register as true for us than nonfiction many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what I'm most fundamentally believe about that person and every person is that you'll know what to do when you have practiced the art of rising to the occasion of the invitation that calls to you, and that requests you to show up as the most regulated and resilient version of yourself.
Yeah.
And you are absolutely right to include rested, resourced. The most resourced version of yourself is going to be able to, I actually can't tell you what to do in this hypothetical future moment full of myriad specifics. And so, like, I can't tell you, but you absolutely already, what already exists within you is the ability to know. You already know, even without being there yet. If you want to know how to get to that data, partner with your body. Take really good care of her. And you will not only have a greater ease of access to that data, but you will trust that data.
And that's
even more.
That's such a core piece of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fun. And that's, I think the more that I learn to trust myself, the more these things come through. Like the last thing I'll say is another person in the Q&A, she was like, I listened to your podcast. Thank you. So that was fun. And then she was like, her question was something like, but how do you say no when everything seems exciting? And she's like, you seem like kind of an excitable person. I was like, thank you so much.
Yeah. I experience you that way. I agree.
And there's a time where I would have really felt like a shame response of like, oh, that means I'm too much. That means I'm something or other. But now I'm just like, well, yes, here I am up here going like, wee, like, I just embracing it.
Yeah.
And then I gave whatever my answer was. But like, trusting my excitability as good or at least neutral. Okay. And then, and actually, because it feels good, it's good to me. And it's one of my gifts, the gifts of my life to experience. And then it also is then the gift that I can offer to others. And if someone's like, whoa, lady, that's okay. They can go find like a calmer person, I guess. So
Good luck. There's not many of them out there. And the way in which most people are not calm, I wouldn't call excitable. I prefer excitable over the alternatives. I would say I totally agree. Like compliment, major compliment. I feel like if I heard that from someone, which I feel like I haven't heard that like directly, but it's been sort of, indirectly communicated. And a previous version of me would have heard that as like offensive in some way. I don't know. I would have felt insecure about that to the degree where I wasn't allowing myself to be excited about much, except for like my own cynicism. Like that was really the only thing that was like really lighting my fuse. And these days I'm like, it's delight and excitement and all of that. And as you were sharing that, a thing that I have thought often, very often actually, and said very infrequently. So here I am saying it now. When I have interactions with people, whether that's like indirect, like me at the music festival I was at back in August, or direct, like me one-on-one or a group of people, or especially when I'm leaving voice memos for people, I'm like, they probably think I'm on some kind of drug right now. Like because they know I'm a person who partakes of substances. So there is a pretty high, I'm almost never actually on it. I'm just kind of, that's my baseline.
High on life, if you will.
But yeah, I think about it a lot where I'm like, this person probably thinks I'm high because of just how excited I am right now. And like, I'm not. This is just me now. Apparently, everyone's surprised. Everyone is surprised. Me most of all.
But here you are. What do you want?
Well, here I am.
I love
That's
that.
right. Well, I love being excitable together, creating this excitable project with you. And I'm excited to learn from you
Yay.
today.
Okay. So I am going to do something that will be only really for Jamie's benefit, which is I'm about to share my screen because this is an audio podcast. So, but don't worry, there's nothing on the screen that you're missing out. It's just going to be words, but it's just to anchor
for me.
Because
I like having visual tools.
That's right. For Taylor Swift, we did the whiteboard, and that was a dream.
Loved
and
it.
This, so for those that didn't hear a few episodes ago, the task for the night is I'm going to introduce Jamie to Emergent Strategy. And when I thought of how to do this, because honestly, like I say Emergent Strategy, in some ways I mean sort of the greater works of Adrienne Maree Brown, but like I would say Emergent Strategy, which is like the first book of this sort of series of books she wrote anyway, and the kind of core set of ideas. That's what I interacted with her first. And it really, it wasn't like a paradigm shifter, like I converted to a new religion. It was sort of in a time, like I was starting to do coaching stuff, and it was 2021. And I really had this yearning to find a coherent way to like so, you know, raised fundamentalist Christian, had certain principles related to that. No longer did that anymore. And was on lots of journeys and hearing lots of things. But I hadn't really heard organizing principles that were things I could sort of sink my teeth into and come back to that were true as in relaxing to my body, touchstones that would keep me oriented in a direction that I wanted to go. Kind of like, you know, like
really well said. Yeah.
Growing up, they'd always say, just look in the Bible, and the Bible will always have the answer. And also, I didn't find that to be true, and that was deeply disappointing. And I will say, and maybe if I looked now, I'd be looking differently and could see insight. Who knows, right? I will say, like, Emergent Strategy, the book, and then a couple of her works, like, if I'm just, like, feeling a bit lost in the sauce, like, been maybe steeping in modernity too much, and there's so many competing ideas and stories that people offer to you all day long.
Yeah.
The ones that I've found to be the most generative, many of them are from Emergent Strategy. And I just think that's kind of remarkable that she's gathered things that, at least for me, they're so resonant. I once heard her describe herself as like either a collector or a curator of healing ideas.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that.
I also think of you that way, Jamie, as well, just to say, you know, like
your my God, thank
framework.
You. Wow.
Like, so there's like these touch point people where it's just like the way they say it rings my bell that way.
Wow, I love that. I totally have those people too.
Yeah.
And now I get to think of them all as like in this camp of my teachers, and here's what I mean by that is what you just described. That's really cool. I love that.
I'm really interested in how systems can change for the better. I'm interested in noticing how systems are not serving us as humans, and that they're all made up of humans, and perhaps we could change them. And I've also been a part of a lot of attempts at system change that felt deeply dissatisfying and at cross purposes and frustrating. And often we're like embodying the thing they say they're going to change. And that's in like sort of social change circles and lots of in like healthcare structural change circles. And so that, I think, so frustrating, and you get why people give up. And I would say explicitly that is what Emergent Strategy is about. So I'm going to read what this quote is, which is, I think, from the website, like, this is Emergent Strategy. A path that invites us to think about change as a constant state of being.
I love it already. What the fuck? We could end here.
Period. And how to align and direct it towards that which affirms and creates more life.
Shut the fuck up. How have I never...
I know.
What? I'm positive people have told me to read this before. But wow. Okay. It's because I was meant to learn it right here, right now from you.
This
Let's
is the filter.
Go.
Like, that's just a great sentence. And
incredible.
And it's about... So it's about not getting like bowled over by change, but understanding that you are a participant in change. And the way that you relate to change and to your part in change matters. Yeah. And so these are some of the people that are like a part of Emergent Strategy. Of course, I know Adrienne Maree Brown the most, so that's the one I'm going to focus on. But I believe all of these folks like Mia Herndon and Sage Crump and like sort of the wider collective of people who like talking about Emergent Strategy, they're mainly focused on I believe like a lot of this initial work came out of like political activism in the States, including racial justice, including climate change activism. Those are some of the core spaces. And so the Emergent Strategy book came of like Adrienne Maree Brown saying like, okay, but how can we actually do this thing and draw inspiration? A lot of her inspirations from nature. How can we do this change thing in a way that doesn't annihilate ourselves and each other? And what wisdom is there to gather from the collective? And so the book, a lot of it's actually like interviews of her with other people, which are interesting. But I find the places where she kind of then like coalesces it all together, collects some quotes and describes a principle. Those are the things I find to be the most, like, I highlight them. I have so many of her quotes. Like the way that she distills the wisdom of the collective, I find to be just very, she's a poet, and I don't know, she's got it.
That's a poet's gift. I think in many ways that's a poet's role. And I find myself most drawn to and compelled by the educators who moonlight as poets.
The distilling of it, right? So this is another way that they describe emergent strategy. Emergent strategy is how we intentionally change. We intentionally change in ways that grow our capacity.
There it is. Love it.
To embody the just and liberated worlds we long for. Inside out work is what they're talking about. This isn't self-help over here in the corner, but it's also not trying to pretend that like the things you long for in the world, you can just sort of effort into being with it not having any impact on you. And what if you like put these things together? Like what's good for me, it could be what's good for the world, and vice versa.
Yes. And you know what really, what strikes me about this, just to speak to you, what's coming up, and I semi-promise not to do this the whole time because my brain is just firing a million miles a minute, but I will let you speak uninterrupted at certain points. The part that I'm most drawn to in this statement, love the word capacity. It's one of my favorite words. Capacity to embody the just and liberated worlds we long for. What is interesting is those two words mean many different things to many different types of people.
Yes.
We don't all have a cohesive working definition of what just means and what liberated means. So in my opinion, the deeper thing, the capacity to embody like we talked about, time machine in our recent Q&A mid-season bonus episode, what is so vital is developing the capacity to tolerate being in the presence of difference. I think that is the best working definition of justice, what is truly just, because I'm not just thinking about what is just and liberated in the realms of personality and identity and people. I'm always bringing it down to the level of bodies. And for bodies to be well, bodies have to tell the truth. For bodies to tell the truth, bodies have to be individually sovereign. The complicated thing is that we're all coexisting here together. Like we talked about in the Q&A, it's the interdependence. It's the both and. So what I believe, if we're bringing it down to a somatic level, what is most just and what facilitates the greatest liberation in the soma, in the body, is the capacity to withstand being in the presence of difference and the ability to maintain both your sovereignty and your regulation while in the presence of difference. Because our inability to do that is getting us into a lot of violence towards each real,
serious
true,
violence.
Serious violence in the direction of bodies, not ideas, not minds, not rhetorical quote unquote violence, which we've kind of gone a little too far in online spaces of being like, you're hurting me with your opinion. Some people have increasingly decided that people who hurt other people with their opinions deserve to be physically hurt and killed. And that is why I'm like, it matters so much for us to get clear on what we really mean by just and liberated, not as it relates to people being able to exist here as all of the myriad different ways that they want to exist here, but like on the body level, the somatic level, what is most just and what is most liberating and free is our ability to relax into being in the presence of someone who is having a completely different experience than the one that we're having.
I love that. And I would absolutely co-sign onto that. And I think the thing that's interesting about, say someone was practicing this emergent strategy philosophy and their mind was still imagining something different. It's my hypothesis, and I think it'd be yours as well, is like if they applied the principles of emergent strategy, which is very much like, so whatever you're envisioning, it first comes to you and you apply it to yourself and you practice it for yourself, and that changes the world. Say their vision they noticed was not compatible, maybe even just like literally like not realistic. It's like everyone in the world should be hyper productive all the time. We're seeing what happens when we try and work through that imaginative.
That's right.
If we think that's the most just and liberated world, our bodies go, LOL. Like, you know,
look at the fruit. Look at the fruit.
And so that like, and so if someone's really deep in a practice, you might call it emergent strategy or whatever, but like this practice of like, I am willing to tend to myself to increase my capacity to become, be the change, like become what I wish to see in the world, I will get so much data of if I need to update,
That's right.
you know, and it's an ongoing process, which it speaks to in these principles.
Love that. It's baked in. That's
baked
so
in.
good.
And so emergent strategy has these components and principles. And hold on, which one is which? These are elements. Okay. And then the other ones are principles. The principles, there's a lot more, and they're just like really juicy quotes to live by, like mantras. And so this is one of them. Change is constant, be like water, which I think is Bruce Lee. And so at least the be like water part. And so just the notion of, again, speaking to inspirations from nature, and also just we run away from this truth all the time, which is that change is constant. We are constantly living with the desire to be deluded into thinking anything can stay the same. See our whole, death season for how that's just like not how it works on this planet. And so what if, a core foundational idea of emergent strategy is, change is happening. Change will always happen. Like we're not working even towards a fixed state of anything. Change is happening, and how do we want to direct change towards the things we care about? And so these are the 6 elements. And then I'm going to talk about 4 of them more in depth because they're the ones that like are the most important to me, but I'll just quickly name all 6 of these elements of emergent strategy. So one is non-linear and iterative. So how do we learn from this? Again, just that idea of like, we're constantly updating, never a failure, always a lesson. Like we're going to continue to iterate. And that's a principle that allows you to direct change, is if you don't think you have the actual idea of what change looks like from day one and it never changes. Like your idea of change will change. I don't know if that's too meta, but right? So that's a principle or an element, sorry. Fractal, that one is, I think, actually the most important one to me, and I'm going to spend a bit of time on it, but the way they describe it here is how we are at the small scale is how we are at the large scale.
You bet it is.
We can talk about that.
Yeah,
so I will talk about that in a couple slides. Adaptive, so how we live and grow and stay purposeful in the face of constant change. So again, just change is constant. So assume you're going to be constantly adapting and be adaptive. And how can that, how can you still maybe have ritual and habit, but also be adaptive at the same time, So that's an important element. 4th one is resilience and transformative justice. So how we recover and transform. And so that one, especially the resilience piece, that is important to cultivate resilience versus like falling apart when things don't go your way.
Yes.
Yeah. Creating more possibilities where we move towards life and shape tomorrow towards abundance. So really practicing thinking about more generatively. Abundance is an important word because that's just going to give you access to different ideas. In a way, it's speaking to creativity, right? And then the last element is interdependence and decentralization. So mutual resilience, shared leadership and vision. Like these are principles, like someone could apply this to an organization and imagine what an organization would look like if it had these elements.
Absolutely.
Imagine if a family had these elements and a single person, right?
Yes, that's right. Well, and that's because it's fractal. It starts by, every larger structure must have within it, all the individuals must be committed to these elements within themselves.
Yeah.
Wow, it's
like pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's fun to just as you're giving an overview of those, just like feel into what different groupings, structures, like you said, family, like that's obviously where I kind of go first these days. And I'm like, yeah, I'd say that's pretty much what we're trying to do here. Yeah, that's so cool.
Feels so good.
Really cool.
So I thought then I'll focus in on two of the ones that really like matter to me most. Then we'll take our break and then I'll do the other two. So the first one, that adaptive one. So how do we live in the face of constant change? How do we grow in the face of constant change? How do we stay purposeful in the face of constant change, right? And so one of the ways, less prep, more presence. So this is one of the principles that I come back to again and again when I get all blah about things. And I'm like, what if you have what you need in the moment and you don't have to do all that to prepare, like, and be in the flow of that?
Yeah.
But that being like, just like a really wise principle in many areas. Like a concrete example for healthcare is like many people can spend a ton of time preparing their charts the day before they see patients, and they read up on them and they even write in what they think they're going to do. And this is to help with time management, whatever. And then what happens? Half the patients cancel. They actually come in for different things. Like just as a little concrete example of like, the more you get into a self-trust flow, just a deep acceptance that you don't ever know what's going to happen next and can just focus on the wisdom of your presence.
That's exactly what I was just thinking of. Yes. I mean, less prep, more presence is essentially just like, make sure you get really good rest and you'll know what to do.
Yeah.
I promise. When you get there, you'll know what to do.
You'll have a brilliant idea you never could have prepared for because you wouldn't have had all the data. Right. Like in the moment is where you actually have all your ingredients anyway. So that's just a favorite. And then the other favorite that goes in this category is there's always enough time for the right work.
Ain't that the damn truth? That is, wow. That's such a...
I need that one.
Deep, rich sentence, like the exact way that it's structured as a principle. Yeah, I can feel the truth of that in my body and the way that the truth of that has reorganized my relationship to work in the last 3 years or so since coming back from my sabbatical. And I would say maybe like adjacent to this, anything I feel like there isn't enough time for isn't the right work.
Yes.
If it's not like emerging, if it's not like naturally just welling up within me as like the most desired thing to do right now, like the most desired task to do right now, when I notice that I'm trying to hurry through something, just stop doing it.
Yes.
Either do something different, because half the time I have the thing I wish I could be doing in the back of my head, and who the hell's making the rules? It's me. And so that's been a whole, truly like almost like an embarrassing learning curve. It's just like, why am I doing this thing right now? I am screaming at myself that I'd rather be doing a different thing. That was my doorway into sometimes I'm screaming at myself I'd rather be doing no thing, and maybe that means I'm done for the day. Okay? So let's just trust that too. So because there is always enough time for the right work, anything I feel like there isn't time for is not the right work.
It's not mine.
It's not mine.
Yeah. Another, again, like really practical example is people get really tied up about their inbox. I think in many settings and in healthcare, it's like all the results. And then they feel like it weighing over them. They feel like they have to constantly be checking and actioning things. And it's like, really, it's like, what if, unless it's right in front of you, it's not yours yet?
That's good.
And some of it will maybe never be yours because by the time you get to it, things have happened.
Sure.
And that's like another way of thinking about that. And if there's not enough time now, like you say, then it might need another season. And what a relief.
Yeah. And just like, I want to make sure like whatever I'm doing is going to have the energy of the way I'm doing it within it. So if the whole time I'm doing a thing, I'm like, this is detracting from my life in some way because there's not enough time. And if I'm going there in my head, it just at this point, again, it's not worth it to me to do anything like that. That was an integrity I kind of found myself having to call myself into, because what started being integrated into my workflow was allowing other nervous systems to attune with mine through touch.
Yeah.
I had to get to a point where I was like, anything that's causing me to go to that place in my head, I've got to figure out what my strategies are. Look, we're just going to keep doing it the whole time. I've got to figure out what my strategies are. The call's coming from inside the house, like handle that.
Yeah.
Because you can. And so you need to figure out how to handle it. And so this is a huge way in which negotiation with self, and just like the roof is not going to cave in tomorrow if I don't do this thing that probably right now I'm trying to make myself do because I'm actually like gassed for that. I've done enough.
Yes.
I'm trying to fit in more. Now suddenly I feel like there isn't enough time. Everything is actually going to be fine. I can know that conceptually. Tough to know that somatically. You know how you learn it somatically? By doing it.
Practicing
and then
it.
discovering that the roof is not caving in. That has been deep work in the last 3 years.
And that's why I love how, like, basically emergent strategy is practice. Like, if you hear in all these elements, like, it's not like to take these 3 steps and then everything's good. It's like, no, like each of these you can only actually really understand them through the practice and experience of them, And and I'm obsessed with that.
And as with any practice, you're gonna be, it's like learning any new language.
Yep.
A new way of being is like learning a new language.
Yep.
You are not fluent at first.
No, hot mess.
So please don't expect yourself to be, and expect just build into your, perception of self and relationship to the process that it's going to take time for you to develop fluency and for it to feel natural to you. So just surrender to that.
Yeah, totally. That's reminding me, because like, so the creating space concept thing, then people are like, I immediately have to do way less work. And then I'm like, what if you approach the project of finding your pace in a paced way? You know what I mean?
Law of attraction. Do I know what you mean? Yeah. I know what you mean.
This
you
is
gotta do.
So, because if you're like, okay, now I immediately have to do way less work and quit a million things. Like, I mean, sometimes maybe it's all coming in a rush of inspiration. Sure. But like, you're still rushing to feel better. And so you haven't caught up with yourself yet. And so it can
feel better now.
Feel better now. by saying, don't saying, oh, now I have to do this. And that often is like a piece of like toxic, and like that's and tiny experiments, incremental change. And that's very much what this is saying too. And
so good.
I love it. So then the second principle, which is probably like the most fundamentally shifting and reassuring and soothing principle for me, is fractal. So repeating what it was, is how we are at the small scale is how we are at the large scale. And the 2 examples I think of that she like talks about in the book. So like one is like ferns and even like seashell spirals. Like a fern, if you look at like the cells, they're shaped like ferns. And then if you look at the leaf is shaped like the fern, and then the whole thing is shaped like the cell. Like it's all the same thing printed small and big. And so if you change the shape of the cell, that'll change the shape of the leaf, which will change the shape of the fern. And so we don't have to do some weird top-down, wipe out all the wrong things. I mean, that's where like it's not good when people try to do that.
I know. And it doesn't
in
work.
any direction.
And like,
everyone thinks they're doing it for the right reason.
Well, and like, haven't we seen over and over again how that distorts the soul of the individual who is operating under that conclusion?
Yes.
So then it's like the reverse, like how you're attempting to be at the large level. What's really going on there ends up, being expressed in the individual
Exactly.
level.
And so the concrete example that she gives at the beginning of like the fractal chapter is an election had just happened, and the election hadn't gone the way that she'd wished to based on her values. And, and everyone was like, democracy's broken. And she was like, how much do I actually practice democracy in my actual real life?
I remember you sharing this briefly with me before.
Yes. And so that being like just as a specific example of like, so if I think I know what it will take to fix democracy, How do I think I know that if I'm not
wow.
actually doing that thing? And so, I mean, one way it actually—
it's so self-responsible. I love it.
Extremely self-responsible. Yes. It makes me have way less opinions about what the world should do, which is great.
Yep.
I think a lot of also like Byron Katie, I love a Byron Katie.
Yes.
And the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, which if you don't know, it's like this fabulous worksheet where you just get to like judge someone that your mind is judging anyway. And you get to like write out all the things they should do and all the things they need to do and to change. But then, spoiler alert, it's a little flipperama. It's all actually advice for yourself.
It's you.
It's like, they should be kinder. They should be whatever. And it's like, oh, but if I think about being kinder to them, that's hard.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not really, but you know what I mean?
But
you know what
now
I mean?
Doing the thing that I am wanting to believe I get to criticize them for.
Bingo.
I can only see it because it is in me.
Yes. And so the invitation is then take all of that advice of like, you know, why aren't they more compassionate? Why aren't they more patient? Like, you got your mission, my friend. You've got your mission. You're the one.
That's right.
You're the one you've been waiting for. And that sounds like it's like, now, great, now I have to be some perfect. It's not about being perfect, but it's about like, ooh, so then I will actually learn what it actually takes to be patient, for example. I think this is the only slide I have, again, about fractals. And so this is just like another way of saying the same thing. That's like a reflection. So small is good. Small is all. The large is a reflection of the small. There's a lot of distorted messages on social media for sure, and just like in spaces where people wish things were different, where it's like, don't be selfish or self-absorbed, or you have to make sure you're caring about all these causes in the ways that I'm telling you to care about, or whatever. And so for me, the notion that like small is good, small is all. So me focusing on simply the lifelong project of getting into better integrity with myself and my body.
Yeah.
That,
so good.
That's enough, frankly.
That's
if you're focused on that,
job.
That is a full-time, that is genuinely a full-time job. And that means then certainly people can perceive whatever they're going to about me. And I am committed to what I hope I can help bring more of into the world, which for me is like, you know, less suffering, more flourishing, people feeling better, people being in more loving community with themselves and others. I'd say those are the dreams. I'm like, those are, and I don't, and letting go of what that looks like.
Yes. And
not having to decide which system that some other random person has created and made popular enough that they think it's one of the options you can call yourself a ist or a whatever.
Yep. That's right.
You know what?
Yep.
I actually don't care. I'm just going to be here, and I'm going to be working through my working hypothesis of my life of like, how do I feel best and how do I relate best in my corner of this ecosystem? Knowing that then when I start to, so notions like, right, working under your capacity, I think is probably a wise principle that many, if not everyone their bodies could benefit from. It's just, you know, in a descriptive, not prescriptive, but like a strong hypothesis that would benefit, for example, healthcare if more people did that. So the way I do that is by first and foremost, not burning myself out, spreading that message, or you know what I mean?
That's it.
Do it for me.
So funny.
And then there's still enough time actually to deliver a hilarious talk that is coming from a place of deep integrity that I think then helps even communicate that, like, I hope that helped people consider it more. And then they still get to have the sovereignty with their body and learn in their own way and whatever. But like, I genuinely think that helps to even share these healing ideas with each other when you've done the work yourself. Like, you're basically not a hypocrite, if you will.
Well, that's what creates the less prep, more presence in the first place. Like, you don't have to. It's good to like get yourself ready, but I had this thought constantly throughout my yoga teacher training of like, if you're living a thing and you just keep living it for a long amount of time, you just naturally become a teacher. People recognize you. You don't have to come into a room and be like, I'm a teacher of this thing. And in fact, like in many cases, when you see someone doing that or you feel the impulse within yourself to do that, it probably means it has not been integrated long enough or deeply enough yet. Yep. Because teachers are recognized. Elders are appointed. Like, it's not like you don't get to say and not that anyone would really say this overtly, but like I have had a conceptual interest and have been ideologically aligned with this way of being for however short or long amount of time. And so therefore I am qualified to, it doesn't work. I mean, people are doing that all the time, but there's a shelf life to that as far as like effectiveness and longevity. So like you're saying, like what I believe would be good for healthcare is the thing that I'm committing to like living in my life. And so I'm not going to burn myself out preaching the message of working under your capacity would be good for you. Because obviously.
Yeah, but it's done.
But we are sneaky, but we believe 1,000 lies a day, right?
Exactly.
Like, because it's the water we're swimming in. Most people are doing that. Currently, the prevailing narrative within the structure is that's the way to do things.
Yes.
So understandable when we start to notice that we're veering in those directions. Again, I think it all comes down to like how practiced are we at getting ourselves back to self?
Yes.
That is the measure of our integrity. It's that. It's not how infrequently you step outside of that dynamic state, homeostatic state. How practiced are you?
Yes.
How consistent are you in coming back?
Isn't this fun, Jamie?
I am enjoying this more than I can possibly express to you.
All right. Well, let's take a break. And then there's 2 more principles I'd love to just like illuminate a bit more about.
Love it.
So everyone enjoy your break.
Yay.
I know. We will.
We will. See you soon. If you'd like to connect with us, we invite you to join us on Substack.
exanatomy.substack.com is the home for the Experiential Anatomy podcast. It's the place to stay up to date and never miss an episode, even if you're taking a break from social media.
You can subscribe for free, and you can contribute to the sustainable creation of these conversations by upgrading to a paid subscription. Paid subscribers get access to special content like audience Q&As, bonus episodes, and other supportive materials that we've created along the way.
We love it there, and we hope you will too. Welcome back, Jamie.
Thank you. Very excited to be here. Excited to keep learning.
Oh, yes. All right. So back into emergent strategy. 2 more elements that I wanted to discuss. So one is that one of the things that I resonate with this body of work is like, it's a little bit more about like the intention or the vision and the direction that you're going in change. And again, not like so that we can make a perfect democracy or so that we can make a perfect version of the healthcare system that I have in my mind that I'm going to mold everyone to. Instead, it's like simply creating more possibilities, moving towards life, shaping tomorrow towards abundance. So like those, and then this is the thing, this is exactly law of attraction, I think. What you pay attention to grows.
Yeah, that's right.
And that is an all-time favorite expression and idea because, again, it's so easy. And I would say the vast majority of the things that ask for my attention want me to focus on lack, on death, and not in like the, hey, we're going to die, it's all good way, but like the loss, the scarcity. I mean,
scarcity, great word.
Advertising's like, have scarcity, buy now, or like you're lacking. That's why you need this cream for your face, or, like that's like an extremely common marketing tool that compels people to do things and then means that their reality is shaped by that. Versus like if I pay attention to abundance, then abundance is what grows. If I pay attention to things always having more than 1 to 2 choices, if I'm always like, what if there's always 3 to 5 plus options here, I will then my brilliant brain will show me those options.
Yep. They will appear in front of me.
And you'll go,
they will manifest themselves in front of me.
Oh, so there's a whole other path. And like maybe I still choose one of the 2 paths, whatever, but there's something about knowing there's more. And it speaks to like just like collective thriving as a planet, like abundance. Like what if we looked for that? And if for nothing else, it definitely feels better to pay attention.
It feels better. Yes, that's right. It all comes back to that. And why? Because fractal. That's
fractal.
why.
Exactly. So you can see how these things really connect with each other. Basically, what you pay attention to grows is sort of that to me, those are the same thing.
Yes.
So then the last element I wanted to highlight was like interdependence. Again, just as like one of the first places I heard this term, and that was very helpful to know versus like codependence and or hyper individual, like as there's this middle way that we are in. We deeply influence one another with our lives and our bodies and we are autonomous, different people. And the notion of decentralization as the only kind of structure that I'm not like dogmatic about it. If someone showed me a way to centralize something that I was like, wow, look at how it offered flourishing to everyone. And I'd be like, high fives all around.
Or something.
Great. That's good.
Yep.
And the relief and the inspiration of decentralization is I don't have to keep waiting for the right person to be at the top of the pyramid. I don't have to wait for the right person to be elected into, the right person to be Minister of Health if I'm thinking healthcare or whatever. I can be like, they're all doing their thing over there. And actually, I noticed how it's probably going to be hardest for them to change because for the reasons you said it before, right? So I can start over here. Like I love thinking of the whole world as an ecosystem, as my community as an ecosystem, my clinic as this ecosystem, and I'm an organism in that. And I can simply work on the health of my organism, and that will most deeply actually impact the people directly around me. And then that can ripple out. And
it will. Inevitably. Yes. Yeah. That's right.
So those two terms. And then the principles that I connect with those that are also emergent strategy are ones that are connected to like how to relate to the other humans, because the other humans can be quite tricky to relate to for all of the reasons, right?
They can. That's part of it.
It's part of it. And so move at the speed of trust is something that I love to repeat to myself. And you can apply it to your own body, right? As well, for sure.
That's, of course, the first thing that came up for me when you put this slide up was, I'm so glad I have this language now because I have found much longer and verbose, are we surprised? No, it's me, ways of essentially telling people this is how it works with your body.
Yeah.
That if we're talking about healing and not just the kind of healing that's like the validating of the trauma, but the kind of healing that validates the trauma as a doorway to get through that to the destination of the wholeness and well-being on the other side.
Yeah.
The way that works is that you have to move at the speed of trust because the thing that happened, the unresolved impact has created, it's not personal. There's just distance between you and your nervous system.
Hello.
There's just distance. And so as is the case in any relationship, as you are getting to know or maybe even re-know someone, it's a process of trust. Trust takes time.
Yep.
And so applying that relational principle to the somatic experience of you with you, this is a great way to say it.
Hello. And outwards from there, because like, especially some people, they're so not oriented to their own bodies. And of course, the invitation here is come on in. It's great. And even if you're looking simply at like I really want to rush towards a goal with this team of other people. And why isn't it working? And it's falling apart and we're all yelling at each other. And it's like, just the very, like, it's got to start, and not like trust building exercises but like genuinely, like, where are you not yet trusting one another? Knowing there will actually probably always be an area, like you know, that's part of it. And
keep tending to it. Just keep tending
to it.
First of all, accept that you're going to need to keep tending to it, and then do it, and then keep tending to it.
And it's like a fire. You'll have to kind of keep stoking it, right?
That's right.
And that leads into this one, which is trust the people. If you trust the people, they become trustworthy.
What you pay attention to grows. If you illuminate for yourself the trustworthy qualities within other people by way of trusting them, that is what you will start to see them as more than the other things you could see them as.
Yes. And this, I know that you practice this in your parenting, and it's what I find to be the most successful form of parenting. And also when I'm doing like delegation, collaboration work, like people who work for me, the ways that they break down is typically because I've forgotten to treat them as trustworthy.
Yeah,
you know?
That's right.
And so I find this one like a very useful principle. And I think this is the last one. there is a conversation in the room that only these people at this moment can have. Find it.
That one's really exciting.
Isn't that
cool?
So exciting. And just like, so that's true. Like
every one of these is a banger, Joan. Like,
Jamie, and this is not even all of them. I'm just saying, I curated for you. These are probably my favorites, but this one really helps me. Certainly, say I'm facilitating a workshop, but even it's me and my patient. And there's all the things you're supposed to do with your patient, but there's actually only a conversation. And when I say these people, it could be me, them, and the two bodies. So let's find what that conversation is meant to be this time at this moment. It's a very connected to more presence and all of that good stuff, right?
So good.
I just wanted to just show you the names of her other books. So one of them is Pleasure Activism, The Politics of Feeling Good.
I have that one.
So
I've only read a little bit of it, but I liked it.
And same with me, actually. And like some of the time, like, because she often will like gather up other people's work, and like just other people's writing style I actually don't resonate with as much. I mostly like her curation and how she thinks of things. So I often will read only like the introductions of her books.
Yeah.
And then I have not read it all, We Will Not Cancel Us. But that one very much speaking to how there is this an inability to tolerate difference in spaces and of many kinds. The two you can't see down here, anyway, it doesn't matter. They can, but like there's one that's specifically about facilitation called Holding Change. That's given me a lot of additional wisdom that I've incorporated into my coaching and relating to other people in different spaces. That's including some practical tips, which is nice. And then the last one you can't see is called Fables and Spells. And that one is like a collection of, I think, her poems, but she calls them spells. And there's like a spell for reclaiming the moment, a spell for emergent. And then there's also a bunch of short stories, most of them being like queer science fiction, like things from the future, as this creative practice of creating more possibilities and stretching your imagination. And especially I read a lot of the spells aloud at the beginning or the end of, say, like a workshop or something.
Wow.
She is a poet. And so I wanted to name those for you and anyone listening. Like those are some of her other works that especially the Spells and Fables actually would be the one that I would strongly recommend, because it's, and especially the spells are the part that I love the most and come back to a lot. And I really enjoy her. It's poetry, right? And but them calling them spells, I think, are just like,
yeah.
So those are the main things that I wanted to tell you about.
Wow, I feel transformed, inspired.
Do you? Oh, that's so
enlightened, enlivened. I feel so many things, Joan. So first of all, just like I just want to say, like, what a prolific person. Just like Wow. And also I recognize the original ideating of Emergent Strategy was done in conjunction with other people, which also makes perfect sense to me and even more sense to me.
Yes.
Because isn't that how things work?
Yes.
Yes. So I just want to say that. And what I've been thinking this whole time, and this can maybe be like our last conversational jumping off point before we kind of do our body dedication and close out. Because this whole time I've been like, I just want to hear Joan riff on how do you bring, and you've touched on this a little bit throughout, but I'm wondering what would come up for you right here and now in how do you bring this to medicine?
Yep. It works on so many different levels in medicine. Yeah. First and foremost, me as a person, finding my way to my body feeling the best, tending to my body's well-being and feeling good. That being now becoming not in like a shame-based way, but in an integrity, emergent strategy practice way, being like the best medicine I can offer to my patients. And to my colleagues and to the system, because I am well within the system. And what if the system was only full of well people?
Oh my good God. Yeah.
Who paced themselves, who were rested, just like, like I said to the woman at the workshop, right? Like, so that also that, like, even with patients, like, where do I want to invite them to direct their attention? Knowing that what they pay attention to grows. It invites me to consider what I'm highlighting in conversations, including I do a lot of, not in like a whitewashing over the hardship way, but I do attempt to frequently invite them to celebrate something in their lives. Like I have this questionnaire that people can fill out if they want to. It's like emailed to everyone, goes into their chart before they come in. And it's got some questions like, what are your ideas about what's brought you in today? What are your feelings about it? How's it impacting your function? What are your expectations for the visits? Which those aren't my questions. That's like really, really great questions that other people have developed. And then I added, what do you want to celebrate with your doctor today? And that's my favorite one to read, especially at the end, because they've just said, I have back pain and I'm scared about this. And that's important. Yeah. You need to hold space for that. And then also, like, especially in some of my longest term relationships with patients, the more I'm like, you realize, like, remember 3 years ago? And I can say that with honesty because I was there. And reflecting their attention. So even though our dynamic is, you could think of it as they have to stay sick to see me or some weird thing. Like, what if it's not that? I keep reflecting back. Actually, what I reflect back is what is healing and has healed.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. This is Our next episode is not, it's a guest episode. It's not the German New Medicine episode, but this would be a great little cliffhanger segue into German New Medicine. And one of the things I find most compelling about that approach to medicine, to the body, because in my assessment, German New Medicine, the foundational underlying assumption about the body is that the body knows how to do their job and they're good at it. And how infrequently, unto the point you are making right now, how infrequently is that even mentioned in the room inside of the current system? And so therefore, what is left to be assumed and then functioned from is the exact opposite. And the reason why German New Medicine matters so much to me, regardless of whether it's practiced in its specifics or even whether or not I believe in all the specifics, is like that foundational premise changes everything. Premise. And you can, and this is what I'm passionate about, but integrate everything. So like take that from GNM and they don't own that concept, but like, take that, infuse it. I think what you're talking about right now is a way of infusing, we could understand it as a way of infusing a foundational element of the practice of German New Medicine into your allopathic practice, because you are inviting people to focus on what's working.
Yes.
What is working right now, what has been working, what is actively improving.
Yes.
That you are asking people, inviting people, leading them even in directing their attention more often than not towards the goodness, the wisdom of their body inside of a system that you know better than most, and especially me, because I haven't been in it in years. But that is ultimately what kind of, I don't want to say pushed me out. I made my own choice, but I couldn't do it, Joan. I couldn't bring that with me in the room ever, whether I was with my family medicine physician, with a specialist, with a consultation with a surgeon. Like, I tried enough times, and I had enough things going on in my body since childhood that I had run the experiment plenty. And it mattered more to me to hold the integrity of that belief I've committed to, that I don't need anyone else to adhere to within themselves. But I was like, yours. These two things, it's mine. And so your ability as a physician to let people keep that while coming to see you, damn, that's so incredible.
It's so... Guess who it's really incredible for?
You.
Me. Because it's so much less work. That's like the biggest, like,
and it's so
hilarious.
Fun. It sounds so fun
it's
to get
such
to have
a good
those
time
moments with people.
Like, even when, like, a principle I didn't say, like, I didn't put on a slide, but it was another principle is like, never a failure, always a lesson. Like, even that. So people come in and they're like, you have to fix me right now. And I'm like, well, what's going to happen is I'm going to share a menu of things for you. And we're going to try the first thing. And if that doesn't work, they'll be like, what a waste. They'll be like, you can think of it as a waste as you want, but I actually learned a lot from that. And now I have a different hypothesis, and what's your hypothesis now? What do you think? Like, you know, like all of that, it's all those principles enacted relationally. Yeah. And then I enjoy imagining and speaking that imagination out through podcasts, et cetera, of like, what if that is what we were all doing? And how that would change healthcare, like how that would change, yes, the organizing principles of healthcare, how we train people for healthcare, what we cared about for outcomes, accountability measures, like what would we cared about would shift. What we had paid attention to would shift, and that would be the thing that grows. I could probably talk way longer, but those are the highest level things that come to you of like how this applies to medicine, and it could apply, I think, to any system, but. In medicine, to me, because I'm so close to it, but it's just like so obviously like potent, and like the metaphor is so obvious because it's like, look, the bodies that are meant to support the physical wellness of the other bodies, if they get weller, then it helps the whole thing. Like that's like an emergent strategy. And so you're like, yay, I'm glad I found this.
It's so cool that you have this framework to be able to pitch to people as like appropriate permission. I'm just thinking about the people you're pitching this to. They kind of need a framework.
Yeah.
Because just giving themselves the permission to like relax and to
that's the thing.
The doing of the you've got to have the data, the structure in your pitch, built into your pitch. So I feel like I understand you and like the magic of what I have experienced you as a person, as a facilitator, as a project co-creator, the things I've heard you share with me about you as a speaker, though I have not seen you in that role yet. But I found myself wondering at moments like what it is that what have been your inspiring sources that have informed the way that I experience you being. And so I feel like I understand you better now that I have been introduced to this concept and or this framework, we'll say. And wow, I'm really grateful. I definitely want to keep learning and keep digging in more. So thank you. I hope everyone listening wants to do that too, because
please do. And you know, some people then I think a lot of people have picked up emergent strategies, like keep talking about it. And some people are like, oh, I don't know, it was kind of dense, or I didn't really get it. Or like, you know, the book itself, I think just because how people ingest ideas are so different, like you may find the book is for you or not. But if you like listening to podcasts, because you're listening to us, just search Adrienne Maree Brown and like find one of her. One I will say that is particularly delicious is when she went on Being with Krista Tippett.
Oh yeah,
and
of course.
That one I think is literally kind of about like imaginative possibilities, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's very connected to like our whole season. And like then if you listen to that and you're like, nah, then like it's not gonna be for you. But I think you'll. I think there'll be something for you.
I doubt you're gonna be like, nah.
I would be like,
if you've made it this far,
this far into this episode.
If you're still hearing us talk right now, very slim chance you're gonna listen to Adrienne Maree Brown and Krista Tippett talk to. If you're vibing with this and you're not vibing with that, I am confused. But I love
I
you.
Actually want to
anyway,
hear.
Still,
yeah.
Please tell me
us,
why.
What's the gap? Because that's fascinating.
Yep.
Okay, well, you know, actually, this episode, it's my turn to ask you, which is fun. So, like, I've been talking most of the time, and you've been listening, and I've loved actually seeing your reaction. It feels very similar to the Taylor Swift episode. We're like, one of my favorite people is like being introduced to one of my favorite people because it's, you know, Adrienne Maree Brown. And I get to now ask you, after all this, what's coming to you as what do you want to dedicate? What piece of your anatomy and your body do you want to honor at the end of our time here together?
Yes. So what came to me probably about 90 seconds ago, as I could feel that this question was coming, the part of my body and all bodies that I want to bring appreciation to today and to dedicate this episode to, because it feels very thematically aligned, is just tissue of all types, whether it is like connective tissue essentially of all types. But I really love when I get to tell people, and in my most frequent context, small people, that did you know bones are actually tissue. They're living tissue. And most recently, that was in the context of describing the mechanics of course, resilience, strength building, blah, 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 and how this works with muscles as well. This works with, fascia, connective tissue. This works throughout the entire body, but like tissue itself is the part that is doing this in all of its forms. What creates greater strength is the constant, continual process of rupture and repair. That is actually what creates tenacity, what creates fortitude, what creates resilience. I was sharing it with my kids about did you know how bones get strong? You break them over and over and over in very tiny ways so that they can flip on the process of, we gotta go repair that. Now we gotta go repair that. We gotta go repair that. Muscle tissue works the same way. Connective tissue works. It's so brilliant, and it feels thematically aligned with what you've been describing about emergent strategy, because one of my main takeaways, what I hear in this framework, in this philosophical framework, is what people are being invited into is to surrender to a constant state of being, a constant state of being. That's the whole thing, constant state of being, which is a commitment to continual self-responsible choice.
Yeah.
And bearing the weight of the positive, negative, neutral consequences of what happens when you exercise those self-responsible choices. And when there are negative consequences, committing to repair from those ruptures, but not as I got to do this now because I did the bad thing and I got the bad results. No. That is generative.
That's
and in
the
fact,
process.
you can't, that's where all the good stuff comes. That's where the strength comes from, is from the breaking and the rebuilding and the breaking and the rebuilding and the breaking and the rebuilding. So what is true in the small is true in the big, or whatever, the tiny, the large. So I just love that we get to know just how deeply true that is about the without, because it's true about our within. Like that, there's the brilliance of our bodies, that cycle of rupture and repair in our tissues is what creates. That is the only way you get strength. It's the only way you get strength.
I love that. I'm taking that with me. And shifting your relationship to times of rupture and disruption, it makes life a lot more fun.
Yeah, it does. And that alone is worth it. Just to have a better time. Have a better time. Well, I had a great time with you today, Joan. Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
And I'll hear you. I almost said see ya. I won't see you in the voice memos. That is the nature of voice memos. But I will see you next time with a very dear friend of ours who is our guest for our next episode. And I'm so excited for that.
So all of you, invitation to get excited as well if you so wish. If you wish to be excitable like us.
Live your life.
Live your life. And all right, we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye. This is Experiential Anatomy. Thanks for listening. I'm Joan Chan.
And I'm Jamie Lee Finch. Experiential Anatomy is co-hosted and created by us.
Amber Wyndham is the editor. Julia Wyndham is the supervising producer.
Senior producer is Elizabeth Wyndham. Aaron Beatty leads our community management.
Our theme music is Park Pier 3 by G's Guy.
If you have any thoughts, questions, or stories to share about this week's episode, email us at exanatomy@gmail.com.
Please follow, rate, and review on your favorite podcast platform. And remember to join us over at exanatomy.substack.com.
Experiential Anatomy is produced by Windhaven Productions.
Okay, guys. Going to do a musical interlude. For a while there, it was rough, but lately I've been doing better. For the last 4 cold Decembers I recall, and I see my family every month. I found a girl my parents love. She'll come and stay the night, and I think I might have it all. And I thank God every day for the girl He sent my way. But I know the things He gives me, He can take away. And I hold you every night, and that's the feeling I wanna get used to. But there's no man as terrified as the man who stands to lose you. Oh, I hope I don't lose you. Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. I won't take these beautiful things that I've got. Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got. Whoa, whoa, please don't take